You look down upon the river, and a light shines in your eye. You reach into the water to dig out, and you pull it from the mud. And it is a ring, and it begins to call to you. Put me on. Wear me. Wield me, it says. And you begin to slowly move to your hand.
Isn't that from Lords of the Rings?
No. Totally, completely different. Because as you put the ring on, you turn invisible. And your party can no longer see you.
I'm pretty sure this is from Lords of the Rings. Hi, I'm Anthony Darkson.
And I'm Roland Slyshadow.
And together, we are the Twin Dragons. Welcome to our channel, where we discuss everything tabletop role-playing games. For today's episode, I just wanted to kind of go over two things and just really discuss it. First, I want to talk about inspiration, and then afterwards, I want to talk about burnout, which is a tough thing to have to deal with.
Mm-hmm. So, inspiration is in Dungeons and Dragons. Sometimes
No.
the DM may award.
Not that kind of inspiration.
Oh, my bad.
I'm thinking about, maybe how do you get inspired to jump into a new campaign, coming up with those ideas to kick off something. Could be a homebrew, or maybe it's during a campaign and you're just trying to figure out new things you can throw into the story, or just how do you get those ideas? How do you find those inspirations?
Yeah. Well, for me, I get a lot of inspiration from other medias, especially novels and stuff like that. I enjoy many fantasy novels, very famous authors. I get inspired from anywhere from obviously Tolkien to Robert Jordan and Brandon Sanderson, another big one for me. So I get a lot of inspiration from my fantasy readings, right? Where I could take, because everyone takes inspiration. Even new works is inspired by something else usually. So I take those things and really let those help me develop something new, blend them together to something that allows me to give to my players. So that's pretty much where I get most of my inspiration. Other media, movies, TV shows. I think that's what most people get a lot of their inspiration from.
Well, I think about for me, inspiration, like you said, books, movies, we always try to pull from other sources, right? Another great thing is, watching YouTubers, social media, right? You think about, some of the popular ones like the Critical Roles, and they create a lot of excitement and they do some crazy ideas and things. So, pulling from social media outlets, other people who are running campaigns can be really helpful as well. I like to watch, a lot of different YouTubers who help me kind of come up with new ideas. It kind of makes me think about oh man, I didn't think about that. Maybe that's a great thing I can throw at my my players. So it could be helpful.
I think another thing that would be really interesting to draw inspiration from. I just like to look at battle maps, right? If I just scour the internet, there's maps aplenty on the internet, right? And I just love to look at all these beautiful artworks and maps that people just pump out, and some of those maps, I just look at a map and oh, that is so cool. I want to add that to my campaign. There's nothing cooler than a good map, at least to me.
So I think that's awesome. Also, I think about looking up, different fantasy images of monsters, and you're like, oh man, that seems like a really cool monster.
Or scenery.
Or sceneries, mm-hmm. Right? It helps you inspire to find, oh man, this is a great image of a swamp. And you're like, man, I could see my team having to go trudge through this swamp and what kind of horrors, and start to make you think like, oh, what could live in this swamp and what can come out and attack them, or what kind of encounters, the challenges they may face in this type of swamp, right? So yeah, I think that's great. Like from battle maps to just fantasy images, images of monsters. Like there's some amazing artwork out there that can truly inspire some great ideas. So, can you name something that you drew from and actually utilized an inspiration for a session?
Yeah, if I can remember, I think that one time I actually used a picture, and it's actually from a different game. It's called Kids on Bikes, right? So I remember seeing that picture, and I was thinking, man, how cool it would be to start a campaign like that, right? And I was actually looking for a way to start my Feywild campaign. So I used the beginning of the campaign as the players were actually kids, and they were just on their bikes and they were going through the woods, and then shadows would start coming and attacking them, or they were running from these shadows, and eventually as they were running through the woods they found a actual mushroom circle, and they fell into the mushroom circle, or they started to lose consciousness as they approached it, and then they woke up in the Feywild after that. So, but yeah, it was something.
I love that. I think about like for me, one of the things that helped truly inspire a homebrew campaign that I created. One was actually hopping between different elemental realms, right? The realm of fire, realm of air, realm of water, right? And for me, I actually found some amazing images for things like a water realm or an air realm. I actually took inspiration in the air realm in one of my homebrew campaigns that I made from an actual image based off of a book series called The Deathgate Cycle. And the Deathgate Cycle had an air realm where there was just these large floating islands, and I used that as inspiration for my air realm. So I thought that was a great, and how they traveled between the islands was flying ships, but flying ships as an actual like sailing ship, but had the ability to sail the airs. So
Great book series too, by the way, by Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman.
good shout out.
Yep. Let's move on. Let's talk about something that's near and dear to me as a game master, burnout. I know that I personally have suffered from it, as well as many other game masters out there. So let's talk about some of the solutions to burnout and what it is really. So let's talk about burnout.
Yeah. Well, what is burnout? What does that mean? Well, for a DM, it's actually happens to a lot of DMs who are the forever DMs who find themselves always playing the dungeon master, the game master, the keeper of arcane lore, right? That person who the party or the group of friends or family always makes them run the sessions or campaigns. And you get to a certain point where after doing it so many times, you just lose that drive, that interest, that you lose your inspiration. You just feel like you're in this vacuum and you're just like, I don't know if I can do another one.
And I'll tell you this from a game master. If your game master is suffering from burnout as well as not having fun anymore in the campaign, it's going to show, and the players are going to not have fun anymore.
How do we avoid it?
By not playing. Not to kidding.
Not play. Yeah, sometimes you can't not play.
Well, I don't think there is a way of avoiding it 100%, right? There are things you could do to alleviate burnout, right? Taking breaks, right? Especially if you're like in a really long campaign and you're like in the middle of the campaign and the dungeon master's now starting to feel a little thinned out, from all the extra work he's got to do, or she. I think that things you can do is take a break, right? Have one of the other players say, hey, you know what? I'm going to take a break this weekend. Why don't you come up with a one shot? Like, try to inspire your other players to pick up a little bit of the slack, right? To run a one shot one weekend to give you some time. Or another thing that can alleviate it is actually having one of your players be the game master assistant, right? Sometimes it takes a lot of work being a game master, that having somebody assist you when it comes to the running of the game, right? Things like when the game master he's got so much stuff going on in the background trying to follow the story and all the different players, to have one of the players be responsible for any catching of missed rules, or if another player needs assistant with like crunching some numbers on his character sheet, he could refer to another player to assist him, so he can focus. The game master can focus on the game, so he's not stretching himself too thin, trying to do too much at one time. So that's something that helps alleviate that.
I definitely have you as my little rule sidekick sometimes whenever I'm running something. So
For better or worse.
for yeah, better or worse. Another thing you can do is, when you take a break, but everyone's like, but we want to do something together. Well, nothing stops you from doing like a board game night.
That's true.
Like mix it up. Like, does it always have to be TTRPGs? Or can we just like, hey, let's play Monopoly. Let's play Catan. Or maybe not Monopoly. We might cause enemies, but let's play something else to shake it up, to change it up, still come together, have some fun, but not have to worry or stress about anything.
Sure. Another thing that I like to recommend to game masters, especially forever game masters, is change up the game system. Right, so I know that burnout can cause lack of inspiration, lack of motivation. Right, so change the game. Right, not just board game, but change the game system. If you're a group that always plays Dungeons and Dragons, that's fine. Right, but if the game master is starting to get a little burnout, he's not feeling inspired, doesn't feel excited about the next campaign, then maybe try it different. Something that would give him new foundations. Something that would let the players experience new things, which would then drum up excitement for that next campaign.
It's also a great way to find out more about different systems, and you might actually even fall in love with one of those systems. Like, you fell in love with Call of Cthulhu because you actually had to expand yourself out of Dungeons and Dragons because you were just in that burnout mode, and that's how you got into Call of Cthulhu and started going into these other game systems because of that.
And one of the benefits is that a lot of these other game systems, you learn new mechanics, and some of these mechanics you may enjoy, and you may want to take some of those mechanics or themes and bring it into your next campaign in a different game like Dungeons and Dragons, which then may make the next Dungeons and Dragons games even more exciting for you. Like let's say Call of Cthulhu as an example. You're like, well, I enjoy the horror element so much. We can do a Dungeons and Dragons campaign, but let's throw some horror in that. Let's make it really dark and stuff. So that's something that may inspire you or make you excited for that next campaign. So,
all right. Well, what if you're there? What if you're feeling that burnout? You're stuck. You're in the middle of a campaign and you're burned out. You've tried to get everyone to do something different. Maybe it does require a pause. But what if you're lost inspiration as well on top of that? Like, how do you, in the middle of a campaign, you're feeling burned out, you've lost inspiration, you have writer's block, essentially, and you just don't know what you're going to do next. How do you get out of that? What do you do?
Like I said before, I mean, you may have to pause. That's just one of the big solutions you can do. Just take a break, right? And let everybody, and always be communicative with your players. Let them understand this is why you need more time to take a break so you can rebuild that inspiration. But there's other things you can do. Really, like I said from earlier, I like to take inspiration from novels, right? So I'll start reading some books and have that really get me back into the genre of fantasy. If we're playing a fantasy campaign, if we're in the middle of that, if we're in the middle of a different system or a different game, let's say we're playing like a sci-fi game or something like Traveler, which I love as well. Maybe I'll go out and I'll watch some sci-fi Spaceballs.
Hey, you said traveling in space.
maybe like some Battlestar Galactica or Star Trek or something to really get me in the mood to really get back into that campaign. So that's something I would do. So taking what we talked about before about inspiration and bringing that to me to allow me to continue on the campaign that we're in would help, I think. So.
I think in that vein, if you're running something sci-fi or futuristic, maybe cyberpunk, type of game, you can watch Blade Runner or Johnny Mnemonic if you're going old school, right? Kicking it real far back there. But there's like movies you can watch. You mentioned some shows. Or you can pick up a book. Isaac Asimov. Looking at his robot series to help you start thinking about like, hey, what can you bring into that sci-fi inspiration into it? So sometimes it's just like, hey, take a pause, turn on the TV, watch a movie, pick up a book, get enveloped in that realm of that world, and then see if you can get that drive back and that inspiration to kind of pick up and continue that game session. So these are some of the things that we do. Some of the things that we've tried to help us break through those barriers of burnout or, feeling uninspired. Well, it worked out for the best. You just got to try it. Don't be afraid to tell your group, hey, let's take a moment. I need a moment to myself so I can find that inspiration.
Preferably not right in the middle of a session. Just throwing it out there.
Hey, before you roll that dice, I'm going to pause right here, guys. No, obviously.
Don't be afraid, though, to really communicate with your players. That's what's really going to keep your group together. That way they understand. And maybe a player may raise up their hand and say, hey, I'll take over for a little bit. And maybe that's all you need. So
you hope that'll happen. You hope for it. It won't always happen, but you hope. And you never know. It could happen.
Let us know the things that inspire you in your campaigns, as well as have you experienced burnout and the things you do to try to alleviate burnout. Comment them down below.
Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and like this video. Also, don't forget to subscribe as we have a lot more content coming out soon. Until then, see you next time.